The voice laughed as the screen faded to black. The laugh made Tom tense up. Semicolon. It was an unsettling, unfitting sort of laugh. A kind of high, whooping, clown-like sort of laugh. First off, wrong use of semicolon. Secondly, all you had to say was unsettling.
Yeah, that's paddling.
Oh, is this supposed to be it talking again? Okay. Glad I guessed right. Okay, the first game we're going to play is hide and seek. All you have to do is remain hidden. And don't let me catch you. Tom had noticed a growl under the excitement of the voice. The way it had said, "Don't let me catch you," sounded almost too excited. Almost predatorial.
Fucking commit. Just commit. Is it predatorial or not?
Yeah.
Get tired of these almost half measures.
The screen faded. Or at least it wasn't to black. And Tom saw he was playing as Tails. Tom looked at the screen in confusion. Didn't he just pick Silver to play as? Why was he playing as Tails instead?
Because Tom is a beta cuck.
Like,
so tired of hearing about Tom. Tom this, Tom that. Tom did this. Tom saw that.
you know, it's almost funny that we were making all of the gay jokes about Tom and Kyle in the first two parts that I released. And then in this part, you bring up that voice actor thing with Silver being the beta cuck, and then he picks Silver in the story.
Yeah, Silver is not just a beta cuck, he is a twink. And a beta cuck.
I love how
Silver,
that works out.
You're a twink. How long were you waiting to say that?
The entire dub, baby.
Already, this game was giving off very weird vibes for Tom. But his curiosity remained steady. The game's graphics were three-dimensional. It says 3D. It says 3D, but I said three-dimensional. And looked very good, too. Though Tom couldn't tell if the graphic quality was similar to that of Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Generations.
Cute.
A small message popped up, saying, "It's probably better if you play this with a controller." I don't see why. I mean...
Alright, well, okay. There's your first mistake. Tried to tell a PC gamer which device to use to play the game with. You fucking animal.
It's true.
You don't do that.
No.
I'll let them figure it out on their own. Clearly, you've never met a PC player.
I mean, I don't have too much trouble with Sonic games on a keyboard, but maybe that's just me, you know? Tom promptly grabbed his wired Xbox 360 controller, sponsored by Xbox, and plugged it into his laptop. And after fiddling with the options to make the controller work, he started moving Tails around and looked at the environment he was in.
What the fuck is he doing? Playing on Linux? What options do you have to fiddle with to get your controller to work? I plug my controller in and it just works. You know what I'm saying?
Tails was in the city. Another fucking semicolon, wow. One completely devoid of life. Well, that wasn't used properly. Okay. And appeared to be somewhat in ruins. Giving off a...
So any Sonic City.
Yes. Giving off a kind of dystopian kind of feel to the overall place.
Get rid of kind of. Just fuck off. Just fuck off.
It was
Just
kind
like,
of...
Come on, man.
Kind of. It was kind of dystopian. Kind of.
Was it or was it not? Like,
Kind of. It's like you're the author. You're writing it.
like,
Commit.
just commit, dude. Just tell me, show me.
What is the thing that I am supposed to be looking at in my mind while I am reading this? What does it look like?
The end of a 12-gauge shotgun.
The sky was a perpetual cloudy dawn. Tom was amazed at the amount of detail of this empty ghost town he had Tails run around in, exploring districts and entering buildings. What Sonic game are you playing? The way it all looked reminded him, well, I take that back. This is supposed to be a new Sonic game. Never fucking mind. The way it all looked reminded him of the third segment of Speed Highway from Sonic Adventures, except made far more bigger, more open, and of course, decrepit, silent, with no music, and lacking any characters, NPC, or enemy.
So he turns around, compares the graphics to two other titles, and then proceeds to throw that description out the window by describing it as something else. Also, far more bigger.
That's basic.
You can do better. Better. So bad.
So, I have two issues with this. My first one is, I'm going to go ahead and guess that he's title dropping these games as a shortcut for trying to describe the scene he's attempting to make. But it's relying on people having played the game to know what he's talking about. But since he's assuming that people who are reading this are already Sonic fans like him, much like everyone else, they already know what he's talking about. It's lazy writing. But as far as the descriptors are concerned, like
he should just describe it what it looks like rather than, oh, well, it looks like a city in other Sonic game. Just describe what it looks like. That's all you have to do. Describing what it looks like in reference to something else doesn't help anybody. Even people who already have played that game, sure, it gives them a mental image, but you're taking them out of the story to make them recall that. Just describe what it looks like. If you describe it well, they will make the connection. They will recognize the familiarity.
Yeah. And if
give your readers credit, they are not that stupid.
and if the readers are people who have played these games, then through your details, they will begin to realize, oh, well, this looks like this. That's weird. But if the reader doesn't have that knowledge, it doesn't affect the story. It's still you describing the scene that you were creating.
Yep.
I think I actually have an example of this in a story that I'm reading on my other reading series, Storytime, found on Bowiehunter on YouTube.com. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Anyway.
And ring that bell icon.
Let's see. Yeah, it's about a 5th grader. He's sitting in a class, and the teacher was showing him a movie, and he writes in the story, it was about a farm with talking animals. And he had watched it before, but he watched it again because really, what else did he have to do? In 2 sentences, he described the movie that he was watching. Zach, based on what you heard me just read, what do you think Oswald was watching in the class. He's in 5th grade. He's in a school. And it's about a farm with talking animals.
Oh man, there's actually, especially for that age range, there's quite a few movies with talking animals on a farm. How long ago was this? Or you know what? No, I'm gonna go with my first bet. My first bet is Charlotte's Web.
Okay.
My second guess, if it's something more recent, is probably what's the name of that movie? Back at the Barnyard, I think. Because that's like a kids movie. It's animated, talking animals on a farm.
It actually doesn't say what year this was.
Fuck!
What'd you do?
Cheated. I actually accidentally just knocked over some models.
God damn it. It doesn't say what year it was, but my guess was going to be Animal Farm.
Oh my god. See, I was thinking Animal Farm, but for 5th grade, I was like, nah, that's more of a high school thing.
I mean,
a
you
lot
never
of the
know
commentary gets lost
you never know
on people.
You never know with schools these days, man. I'm expecting it these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The author described a movie, but it was done in a way that it doesn't rely on you knowing what movie he's referring to, and it doesn't impact the story. It's just a descriptor. It is a movie. It is about a farm. There were talking animals, and he's watching it because he doesn't have anything else to do. He's in 5th grade. It's the end of school.
Yeah.
It's not detrimental to the story. This, on the other hand, you are describing your scene.
It's trash! It's fucking trash!
And my other issue is that all these references for Sonic games, we get it. Author. You, the author, like the Sonic games. You are a fan of the Sonic games. It's okay to have a
Gotta go
passion.
fast.
It's okay to have a passion, but when you are writing a story, you are writing a story. When you start doing stuff like that, during a character's thoughts and observations, you are not writing as Tom. You are now writing as JC the Hyena. You are letting that show. Find a better way to describe the scene that you are trying to make.
Yeah. This is so bad.
Tom's amazement slowly changed to uncertainty, and then worry, the more he explored the city. He couldn't find a living soul anywhere within this quiet, bleak world. He was alone. Suddenly, Tom's concern about finding any inhabitants in the ruined city was soon replaced with an increasingly overwhelming feeling. An ominous feeling he didn't think he'd feel over playing a video game. Tom couldn't put his finger on it, but he started to get the feeling he wasn't alone at all. That he wasn't feeling alone at all. That there was something out there. QX Files music. In the same area as Tom.
Oh, I'm glad we cleared that up. I was really concerned.
It wasn't like he was being watched, but more like something was out there in the ruined city looking for him. So you could say it felt like he was being hunted. Instead of going through all that unnecessary detail.
Fucking idiot. I repeat, Tom is a huge fucking idiot, first of all.
Yeah.
What a fucking pussy. I'm gonna say it. An empty city. Time to get afraid. Like, fuck off. But the voice clearly indicates that you're playing hide and seek. He felt like there's something out there. Well, the game just said you were playing hide and seek, so yeah, that logic would follow, brainiac. Holy shit.
Oh my fucking god, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, but you can't even chalk it up to Tom being a fucking idiot. You know, like, because the way it's written, you can tell it's the author trying to create this tension, and it doesn't land because it's written so bad.
It's like,
Oh
yeah,
my god.
no shit, something is looking for you. It's hide and seek. Do you not know what hide and seek means? You hide. Something is seeking you.
Like, I get it's supposed to be like this supernatural thing going on, but like, he so far has like no reason to think he himself is in danger.
Tom felt fear welling up inside himself. Felt fear welling up inside himself that he had never felt before.
What, Tom's never been afraid? I find that hard to believe. Fucking pussy boy!
He wasn't concerned for his avatar Tails. He couldn't explain it. But he felt like he, personally, was in some kind of danger.
Fuck you, Tom.
He had Tails run down streets because he didn't want to enter any of the buildings, fearing he'd be rendered helpless to whatever he was terrified of.
That sounds completely irrational. Pussy boy!
Tom had also started to notice that it didn't seem like there was any way out of this huge empty city. If anything, it seemed like he was looping back to the same districts, the same buildings, the further tried to go away from them.
Yo, you ever played Pac-Man? It's not a weird game concept.
I remember they made a horror version of Pac-Man. Instead of the top-down view, it was you.
That's part of the annoying thing with trying to do horror in like a video game or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
There's a degree of separation between the character and the game. That's part of it. The other part is what we would normally deem a supernatural event in day-to-day life is just something that can be completely rationally explained within a game world. Just like that thing of like, oh, he just seemed to be looping back to the same districts. Okay, Pac-Man, one of the most basic fucking video games out there, up there with Pong, does that. You go off one side of the screen, you come out on the other side of the screen. So you go from the left side of the map to the right side of the map in a split second. It's not weird. It happens. You can do it. It's not hard.
Yep.
Fuck, look at Portal. Takes that concept to the next level and makes a puzzle game around it. Fuck off, dude. It's not creepy or weird. You're just blowing it out of proportion for the sake of the horror to like build tension, and it doesn't. It doesn't build tension at all.
Hell, if you want to take it to another direction, look at Mortal Kombat, Scorpion's teleporting punch. He flies off one side of the screen to the other side of the screen to punch the opponent.
Well, and the counter argument will be, oh, well, you know, the Sonic games don't normally function that way. And it's like, okay, but still, this guy, Tom, has apparently played Sonic games before. But he also knows that this is a Sonic game he's not played before. So, like...
It can introduce new game mechanics.
Yeah, it still stands as just, like, it's a pointless thing to waste time on. That's so dumb. So dumb. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's not scary. It's not tense. It's nothing.
And it has cliches.
Yeah.
By the time Tails had entered the district that had Plaza in it. Boy,
Ready?
this is why you need proofreaders. This is why I hammer the concept of proofreading. Proofreading. Read the thing over yourself multiple times, and then when you're done, have someone else read it. And then someone else. And then someone else. The fountain being dry, and one building nearby bent and on the verge of collapse. Tom had seen something nearby. Walking around the plaza rather casually was Sonic. Except the more Tom looked at him, the more he began to notice how different Sonic's character model was. Or at least, more different in comparison to Tails. Sonic's arms were completely blue, but he lacked gloves and shoes. His hands and feet were blue as well. The color of his skin... Isn't Sonic covered in fur?
Technically speaking, yes. Looking at his character model, you wouldn't know that.
Fair. The color of his skin on his belly, ears, and face appeared to be an odd pale color. The more Tom looked at this Sonic, who kept walking ever so leisurely with his back towards Tails, unaware of Tom's character being in the same area as him, the more confused Tom was at his design. He just looked wrong. The blue creature stopped in his tracks before he could take another step, his pose frozen in mid-walk. That overwhelming fear for his own life came back within Tom the more he stared at Sonic, just standing there, his back towards Tails, in that frozen walking pose. Sonic then slowly turned to see Tails, and for the first time, Tom got a good look at the creature's face. Sure enough, this Sonic's skin color was an odd pale. He just said that. But it was the eyes that caught Tom's attention the most. Sonic's eyes were normally green and can join together in every game he was in. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like there was one where his eyes weren't like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh well, not important. There's plenty more wrong with this to tear apart. It's okay. In every game he was in. And from what Tom had seen, this Sonic's eyes were split apart, like Tails' eyes, with the irises being pitch black. Instead, like the classic, like classic Sonic. This strange-looking Sonic looked at Tails for a moment, and then, to Tom's shock, slowly moved his eyes towards Tom. He couldn't believe it. This Sonic was staring directly at him. We know. We understand what was happening. You don't need to spell it out for us. We understand that Sonic is looking at Tom when you said Sonic was looking at Tom.
I also like how Tom is such a big fucking smooth-brained idiot that he doesn't try to, like, even though we've had, like, play-by-play descriptions of things, Tom does nothing to, like, change the camera angle to confirm that Sonic's looking directly at him.
The blue creature smiled a cartoonishly wide kind of grin, and then spoke in the same voice he had heard earlier on. Wow, you're not very good at this game, are you? I want to say that this is like SAO levels of bad in terms of understanding games. But
like, Sword Art Online, at least to some extent, took liberties for the sake of the story.
Yeah.
Like, the issues with that I can let slide, because the actual mechanics of the game are not entirely what's important, except for what fleshed out bits there were. But, holy fuck. This is just like, it's like the epitome of trying too hard.
Yeah?
Like, ugh. Like, we've established it's like a Sonic character model, but he keeps referring to it as a creature. It's like bouncing around these descriptions of this weird creature thing, this odd pale color, like on and on and on. Of just these excessive, flip-floppy descriptions that are vague and unconvincing.
Like, I would say that at least he's not using the random ass references like the fucking Kefka laugh. But the problem is, I know that's what he's trying to describe when he's talking about the clownish laugh. He's just trying to avoid being called out for using the laugh and not learning any fucking thing about it.
Well, actually describing what the laugh is like is a step up.
Yeah.
Even if he's trying to imitate a laugh from a particular character, that's fine. Because he's actually describing it so anybody reading can understand what it sounds like. So as far as I'm concerned, that's fine.
Tom couldn't believe what he was seeing or hearing. His breathing increased in speed as he stared at the screen. There was no way this creature was talking to him, looking at him. The creature laughed that high, clownish laugh, then spoke again, his voice more childish, more mocking, as if he was a kid bullying Tom.
What does that add? As if he was a kid bullying Tom. What does that add? Nothing. That's fucking nothing. Stupid.
Like, what is childish?
Trash simile. Trash.
And even then, what would childish bullying do to a college student?
Get a kid punted. These hands ready to eat for everybody.
What's wrong? You act as if you never saw a hedgehog before. You did the taunting wrong.
See, what I should have done is she's just been, you're too slow, and then just fucking killed him and had him play the over. That would have far more payoff.
They did that shit in Sonic Follow Faded Colors, the creepypasta story.
Yeah.
They like harped on the "you're too slow" bit.
You're too slow.
Sonic took a step towards Tails. Tom then, to his horror, saw the black irises spreading over the creature's white eyes, like holes crackling and increasing in size until the eyes were completely black. His smile widened more, and Tom could see the creature had fangs. Long, sharp fangs. More fangs than would normally fit in one's mouth. This was not Sonic.
It's not how you describe a maw. Let me tell you that right now. Like, okay, sure, more than what would normally fit in one's mouth, but you can say that without saying it. I recently, in a roleplay that I am running, had the party encounter what I refer to as a gremlin, which is like a fucking nightmarish combination of a goblin and a tiefling. Or, well, a devil, I should say. Mm-hmm. And it has a nasty fucking appetite for everything, and particularly loves to eat technology. It's a small creature. It's like no more than 3 feet tall, but its mouth is as wide as its head is. And it has like 2 rows of sharp, serrated teeth. Just trying to wrap your head around that thought. That mouth is too big for that little creature. Like, there's too much going on for that creature to biologically make sense. Mm-hmm. You don't have to tell me that there's more teeth than room there is for teeth. Unless you're specifically going to the point of, yeah, this dude has like a pocket dimension for a mouth. Which, yeah, there are creatures like that that exist in fantasy RPGs. They're nightmare fuel when done correctly, but this fucking sucks.
Tom immediately made Tails run from the creature as it continued to transform. As he did so, he saw the look of terror on Tails' own face. Tom didn't stop to look at the creature as it transformed. He didn't want to see it. He had to get as far away from this thing, this monster. He doesn't even finish the thought.
Yeah. I'm gonna trail off dramatically. That will up the tension.
Tom had made Tails enter a I'm getting tired of this.
Yep. Yeah. Yo. Tom and Tails, Tom and Tails, Tom and Tails.
Tails entered. You know what? Fuck it. Tails entered a hotel, desperately looking for a place to hide. But then, when he opened one door and ran inside, to Tom's surprise, he had ended up someplace entirely different. He could see flames.
Completely kill all of the tension, just entirely, just destroyed it.
Yeah.
Like, but then when he opened one door and ran inside, to Tom's surprise, like, we already know something's going to happen and we don't even know what's happened yet. And you just completely ruin the tension because we're like not even afraid of what's going to happen. It's just like it's happening. It's already happened. What you would do here is you'd essentially say Tails opens or runs through a door, and then you would just be like, and is suddenly such and such. I would avoid the adverb, but you would like describe the surroundings and then like, oh, tried to turn back, but then the door wasn't there. You know, like you don't build up that tension and then just cut it away like that. Just fucking. You gotta build up, and then be in it.
Yeah.
Here they build up, and just completely ruin any payoff of anything happening. Because you have to go through, like, essentially an entire sentence before you actually... an entire sentence of knowing something has happened without actually knowing what it is. And not in the fun way.
Yeah.
Just completely just... ruins it. Soiled it!
He could see flames burning all around Tails. This time, he was in a large forested area. Fire everywhere. As Tom moved the camera to observe the inferno all around him, he could see the trauma and despair on Tails' face, refusing to come more towards the flames, no matter how much Tom made him move.
So he's controlling Tails' face? Because Tails' face is the subject here. And apparently, specifically, Tails' face is refusing to go more towards the flames. So I guess the face stays stationary no matter how much he moves the body around. This is a really buggy game. They really should have finished it.
10 out of 10, IGN.
I think that the model bending and warping because the face refuses to move with the rest of the model is more nightmare fuel than this story ever will be.
This disturbed Tom. Yeah, it's disturbing me too. I'm still reading this. He felt an odd sense of pity for the poor fox boy.
That's because you're a beta cuck.
Then the voice came again. That terrible, fake teen voice.
Is it a child voice or a teen voice? Can we, like, decide? Can we
No.
make a decision?
No. It's suspenseful, Zach. You just don't get it. He's an artist, okay?
I get it that his writing is trash. That's what I get.
No one should boss him around but him.
Well, too bad. Get over it. Get better. Get good.
This room? Psh, funny enough, this is his favorite place to be. Tom moved the camera to see where the voice was coming from. He noticed, poking out from a bush, what appeared to be Sonic's head, except pale, dark-furred, and with an odd-looking face.
What's odd about it? Bitch!
The eyes are now just tiny black pinprick dots. And the smile was just a wide, black, curved line. Like someone had drawn it on there with a marker or crayon. Those are two very different textures.
Yeah.
Tom looked at the head in confusion. It seemed rather surreal. The way the head looked was like it could have been the head of a Sonic doll. The head rose up and Tom saw it ended on a thin, pitch black tendril of sorts, rising up from the ground like some sort of flower. This is supposed to be scary, and I just don't care.
Yep. This is just bland. Great value brand. Spooky, quote unquote.
I'm more confused than anything because this seems like this should be like a conclusion. But this is still part 3 of 9 parts of this story.
Yeah. Tom doesn't fucking die here. I'm gonna rage.
I'm guessing how he wrote this was he had plot points, right? Like, he had ideas. He had main idea, Kyle dies. Main idea, Tom plays game. Main idea, detectives. And then he started writing the story around that. But he just put them in random spots instead of putting them in some sort of order.
I think he had these very specific set pieces of like, here's this creepy Sonic imagery, and then built the entire thing around that, and it just doesn't work.
Well, either way, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The doll-like head bobbed and swayed its head rather lazily, just like this writing. Tom would have perceived it as harmless if not for the overwhelming terror he had been experiencing thus far. And he could see Tails was on the verge of tears as he cowered before this strange being. You know, you could come up with a reason for this to not be harmless, other than just, I felt terror for reasons.
I am afraid. I'm convinced.
Yes, 10 out of 10. The doll head spoke in the creature's voice, except now its voice had changed. It was much more young. Much more.
How?
Much
We went
more.
from childlike to fake teen to much more young. So what is it? A babbling baby? Ooh, goo, 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 gaga. Fuck off.
Much more young, much more like a child's, and Tom could see that even though it spoke, its mouth didn't move at all. What was the name of the main character in the first one? Sonic.exe. Oh, it's still Tom. Okay, so I had the idea that he might have had been writing this like Sonic killed the young little kid Tom in the first story, and now he's after these college kids. But no, it's Tom. It's Kyle. He's reusing the same characters. They're just older. It would have been okay. It would have been neat. Would have been a neat little thing, but no. It's still just trash. It's all trash.
Trash.
Even though it spoke, its mouth didn't move at all. This adorable little foxy just loves to play with the fire here, don't you? Tom saw Tails shake his head no desperately, and he could also see Tails was trying to form words himself, but was too scared to speak. The doll spoke to Tails, its voice sweetly. Its voice sweet, but just as mocking, not sweetly. What's wrong, buddy? Don't you like playing with me? Tails furiously shook his head in refusal. team streaming down his face as he sat there, looking at the doll head. The doll head giggled, a hint of the clown-like goth.
Guffaw.
What is that?
Guffaw.
What does it mean?
It's kind of like a, I want to say a sort of like, I'm gonna pull up a definition. I don't wanna say, okay. A loud and boisterous laugh. I was gonna say something more kind of like a loud sort of chuckle, but yeah, it's an older used word. Most people don't typically use it. But yeah, I mean, it works.
Under that child's giggle, as it swayed its head more. It then responded in a condescendingly sing-song kind of voice, a much more noticeably audible growl on the last word as it stared down at him. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Suddenly, something erupted from the ground and wrapped itself around Tails' neck. The fox yelped in pain.
It was a penis.
Yes. The fox...
It's something. We don't know what it is, so it could be a penis.
It could be anything. It could always be anything. The fox yelped in pain as Tom realized that it was barbed wire.
We could have just opened up with that.
Yeah.
There's barbed wire. Like, we could have just said that. Instead, something erupted. So now we had to add a whole extra sentence explaining it was barbed wire.
Well, we gotta build.
Unnecessarily.
Well, we gotta build suspense, don't you know?
There's no suspense. There's none.
Tails clawed desperately at his own neck to remove the wire as it tightly wrapped around it, his neck starting to bleed as he choked and cried. While this was going on, fire began to spread around him until he was engulfed in it. Tom could do nothing but watch as the poor fox child writhed and screamed in the flames. He watched as Tails' yellow fur began to blacken and burn, his eyes becoming bloodshot, his neck bleeding more as he screamed in agony and terror. Well, I have good news. There's only six more paragraphs. The bad news is that there's 6 more paragraphs.
This description sucks. Here's why.
Okay.
Alright, so I already said the fucking barbed wire bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So Tails clawed desperately, adverb. Get it out of here. Tails clawed at his own neck is sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to say desperately.
Mm-hmm. We can infer it's
to remove the wire as it tightly, adverb, get out of here, as it wrapped around it, just as it wrapped around his neck. Just say that.
Mm-hmm.
We already know that it's going to bleed, and we don't want things starting to do something. We want things happening. We want it to be active.
Mm-hmm.
So we clear that bit out, and we put something along the lines of blood oozed around the barbed wire and trailed down his fingers as he choked and cried. You want to pick very strong, vivid verbs. Things are happening, they're not starting to happen. This is very passive and a lame way to explain what's happening. If you have blood oozing, it's a lot more vivid now. Blood oozing from the wounds onto his hands as he's trying to claw this barbed wire off. You don't need to say he's trying to
claw the barbed wire off again, though. We already know he's doing that. So it's blood's going all over his hands. Meanwhile, the fire draws nearer, engulfing everything in its path. Then we cut to Tom watches in despair as Tails screams in agony when his fur catches on fire, or something to that extent. Like, all these descriptions are so passive. When you have something like this going on, you want to be active. Because passive descriptions aren't going to stay with the reader. You want active descriptions. You want to burn the image into their brain, and you don't do that with passive descriptions.
I would say if you're making yourself uncomfortable with the descriptors that you're using in this specific type of scene, then you're probably on the right foot.
Well, here's the thing. When you have a scene like this, you want it to feel raw and real.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, if you look at movies, most action movies.
Mm-hmm.
Dude gets shot, falls over dead, that's it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Or hell, even in video games. Great example. Recent relevant example. Most video games, you shoot a bad guy, they fall over, they die. Right? Last of Us 2. Not going to get into it. But when you shoot an enemy in that game, however you kill them, they don't just fall over and die. They fall over and they beg, they cry out in agony. It's a very raw, visceral response. It's very real.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you want. Because that is what's going to stick with the reader.
Yep.
Just, dude fell over dead. Okay, whatever. Moving on.
Another body for the pile.
Yeah. And it just goes on and on. The yellow fur begin to blacken and burn. There's a right way to do this. This is not it.
Yeah.
His eyes becoming bloodshot. No, fuck you. The fire's too bright. We don't need to know that. His neck bleeding more. We don't need to know that. Screamed agony and terror. Sure, you could remind us. Start off with the screaming not as bad, but make it escalate. Don't just screamed more. You want it to escalate.
Pain. Oh God. I am dying. Oh no.
Also, fuck this doll head description. Just described it as a doll head and left it at that. Fuck you.
Yeah.
What does a doll head look like? You know how many different kinds of dolls there are? Fuck you, bitch. Is it porcelain? Is it plastic? Is it, is it like a Beanie Baby? Come on, dude. Is it a fucking puppet? Hate it. Hate it.
Tom then screamed as the doll head suddenly creeped up from the side of the screen, dangerously up close, obscuring what was happening to Tails and looking directly at Tom. He could see the smile was becoming more real, and opening up to show those huge fangs. The tiny dots for eyes were growing in size and forming cracks on the doll's face, and 2 red dots began to glow from within the blackness of the widening eyes. Go ahead.
Explain how it's dangerously close. I want to know how this thing in this game is dangerously close to Tom as an individual. When there is a degree of separation that is the computer screen. How do you define dangerously close in that situation?
See the problem with that imagery? Why couldn't it just describe as the face being like, you know, blocking most of the screen?
You could say it was superimposed on the screen.
We have no reason to believe Tom is in danger. So why is it dangerously close?
As far as we know, it's still a video game.
Well, yeah, like, sure, we could say maybe there is something supernatural going on here. You know, it does talk to Tom and stuff, sure. But we have no reason to believe it has the ability to influence Tom or the world outside of the game world.
We have nothing
So-
that suggests that it has the capabilities of influencing anything outside of the world that it is in, this world
Yeah.
being the game.
Implying that it's dangerously close suggests that there's the implication that it can interact with the outside world when there's no evidence of it being able to do that. So it's a shitty description and misleading, and it's an advert. Get it out of here.
So while yes, an image popping up very close to the screen can be a little alarming to those who are not familiar with that, it can be surprising. Jump scares are surprising. It happens.
Jump scares, the most frightening part of a horror movie.
But that is not enough to suggest that it is something to be concerned about.
Yeah.
That horrifying clown laugh was present with the screaming, even though the doll's lips still didn't move. Tom had enough. This was too much. That was too much? So when you were getting uncomfortable and you thought that your real life, your personal life was in danger, you didn't shut the computer off then. No, that was okay. Me being in danger, that's fine. But seeing the computer game character be brutally murdered is the breaking point. He immediately slammed his finger onto the power button and shut his computer off. A ringing silence came as his screen went to black. Tom sat there panting, drenched in sweat. Why were you sweating so much? Turn the air conditioning on. He could still hear the creature's laughter and Tails' screaming in his head before ebbing away. What the fuck, Kyle? Tom sputtered in disbelief. What kind of game did Kyle buy? This was clearly not a game approved by Sega. Sure, they threw in a creepy message in Sonic's CD to scare away hackers. But there is no way they would develop a game like this, let alone release it to the public. Well, you already told us that the game was not made by Sega. So you're right.
Yep.
They didn't develop it and didn't release it to the public. Tom was convinced that the creature he saw in the game was not Sonic at all. Not just by its behavior, improper use of the semicolon, again, that's 3. Strike 3,
Yep.
You're out. But also because of how the model looked. How it started to turn more monstrous, and that doll head that he saw minutes before Tails got incinerated. Everything about Sonic in that game was just completely wrong. It had to have been made by someone other than Sega, because there was no possible way that thing actually talked to Tom. Could there?
See, this is the problem with this kind of writing. You spend all this time explaining what's weird about the situation to the point of saying the weird thing was, the odd part was, the strange thing was. And then you insult the reader's intelligence by, at the end of it, you rehash in a paragraph everything that was weird. The reader's not dumb. They were there. They read the story. They know what's going on. You don't have to rehash. That wasn't normal, Sonic. This wasn't normal. That's not right. This is incorrect. Fuck you.
No shit, dumbass. We know. We were there. We read. God damn, dude. Wasted an entire paragraph telling us what we already know. It's insulting.
Oh my god. Look at this. Tom runned his hands along his face.
No, it says ran.
With a sigh. Feeling sleep overriding his stress over what had just transpired. It's just some freaky fan game. It's gotta be, he said to himself. Deciding to deal with it in the morning, Tom got up from his desk and went straight to bed, not even bothering to close his laptop or clean his mess. Tomorrow he would talk to his friends about the game and maybe continue playing it. All that concern that you had, why would you continue to play it, you fucking idiot? Hoping to
it's just some freaky fan game. Cool, get rid of it. Curiosity sated.
Yep. Hoping to shake off the feeling of dread and uncertainty, Tom slowly drifted to sleep. And that is the end of part 3.
Filled with hate.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah. You want to look at comments? Let's look at comments.
Please, for the love of God, some kind of light in the darkness.
Hey.
I'm not reading all this.
Yeah, no, we can skip the little ones.
No, I was looking at the top one.
Oh, the top one?
I'm not reading all of this. There's a good one. Do you sex?
Shut the fuck up. Sonic.exe inbound.
Here's a great one. We need more sexual fan art of Sonic.exe and Sally. I'd love to see that. Somebody make it and send it to me, please. Smile.
Stop.
Get some help. No. Get fucking help!
Shut the fuck up. Sonic.exe inbound.
Who the fuck is this guy that just keeps posting that over and over?
Well, it's obviously the grubby troll, 164.
It's also the same guy who said, I'm not reading all of this. What is he doing?
I don't know. I don't understand this person.
Oh, here we go. I actually want to read this long one.
Okay, go ahead.
I made an account just to say the author should get off his own ego. He's holding himself back a lot by having so much pride in a story that wasn't even good to begin with. Truth, brother. The creepypasta fan base is mostly full of kids, so stories like Jeff the Killer and Eyeless Jack got famous for existing. This pasta got a fan game, which YouTubers played without even reading the actual creepypasta. I mean, why would they? It was bad.
Yeah.
The existential stuff at the beginning exists only to make the story seem big. It promises something great, something epic, I guess. What the story gives us is a longer version of the original with less spelling errors, but still grammatical errors. It fixes a few things, but keeps a lot of blaring issues and adds more, see that existential stuff at the beginning, for no good reason. In storytelling, keeping your promises is an important thing. You don't say humans and their apparent brilliance, and then tell us a story about a kid getting scared by a Sonic game. The main character is just as annoying as the first one, if not more, because he had more room to talk. This is too long for a story about a Sonic game. I could beat any one of the Sonic games in less time than it takes to read this. All in all, the story takes itself more seriously than The Showers, which is a great long story. The author should write more than just Sonic.exe, but since it got popular, he's just riding on that fame instead of improving by broadening his horizons and ideas. The best part about this story is that this time it's too long for 10-year-old attention spans, so you'll only get the no-taste comments or the critical ones. Critical comments that still praise the story are good because they're seeing the good in what's presented. The author going back to improve on his earlier work is a step in the right direction, but it's still riddled with the same issues. So that's the problem, though. Sure, went back to improve, the earlier work. Didn't improve the earlier work. Fixing a bunch of spelling issues is basic.
That's like
It
what
is
you
just-
do. That's what you do before you publish it online.
Yes, it's just a basic. That's something you need to do. They've added so much excess bloat shit that doesn't add anything to the story, and there's still so much wrong with the story. The story's not good. There are no good parts to it. It all sucks. There's no tension. It's not scary. Sure, it's for kids. Whatever. But, like, nothing about what I've read so far has even felt remotely creepy to me. It all feels low effort. Simple, better descriptions would make it better.
Yeah.
There's a comment here. This creepypasta is long, but not what I expected from a remake of a creepypasta I really damn like. This is a very interesting remake and take on the original story. I'll still love the original more. I'm sorry. However, I do like this take, and the Sonic.exe 2 editions make it surprisingly interesting.
Please tell me this is a joke. I hope to God it
Yeah.
is.
Bro, Sonic fucking snapped.
Shut the fuck
Fuck.
up, go rot in hell. What is with this guy?
Uh,
And he had such
Oh,
a
no.
great comment at the beginning, too. I had so high hopes. I had such high hopes.
Oh, here we go. How is it? ... Question mark. The story has barely nothing to do with stories. We have game, crime. Who had the idea of the Sonic.exe murders? That would make it totally boring. I even got lost. I'm not even sure I'm following this fucking comment. What?
So do you remember that whole
Sure,
bit?
dude.
So do you remember that whole bit about the Detective Green coming to question Tom and saying that there were a
Vaguely.
bunch of murders?
Yeah.
So there were a bunch more like this before Tom, before Kyle. They all died the same way, and all of their computers were destroyed. But
Yeah.
for some reason, we need Tom's help. We can't get him. We don't know what the connection is. And they're labeling them the Sonic.exe murders.
Oh my god, this fucking comment. Oh, Jesus Christ. Personally, this was one of the best adaptations to the Sonic.exe story I've ever read. The detail on everything is perfect. And the way everything is kept to a realistic level while still holding that supernatural factor was flawless. I don't care what's happened in the past. I don't care what JC did before. He at least admitted that he was in the wrong and moved on to be a better person. This is a perfect example that something that can once be hated can be remade in your own perception to a level that makes people interested. I don't intend for any hate on the original creepypasta story, nor this rework. Yeah, all the completely necessary and totally not boring detail was great. I really needed to know what kind of pizza Tom ordered and what movie he decided to watch on Netflix. And then they say this is far from the best Sonic.exe adaptation. Adaption? No, it's adaptation, you fucking troll.
I would say admitting that he was in the wrong was not exactly what JC did, but sure, we'll go with it. Here's one. Honestly, the story scared me. I don't know if it was because of my own crazy imagination or the music I was playing, but it was pretty terrifying. The intro was pretty stupid though. I don't understand if there's a specific standard for creepypastas or the masters, quote unquote, have a refined taste, but this felt more like a horror movie than a creepypasta, mainly because of the bad ending where X kinda wins by obtaining all the souls he wanted. Or maybe I'm just another delusional person on the internet. I think of it as scary, but that doesn't always mean it's necessarily good.
It wasn't scary.
No.
It's not good either.
No. Oh, we got someone who typed F in the chat. And that was part 3.
End of chapter 1. Chapter 1. I want death.
Was what we said. It will get worse. Do you remember that story?
Vaguely?
It was the one where I had the idea that it was written in a different language and then just put in Google Translate. It was almost nonsensical with how bad it was.
Oh, this. Oh, God, it's so bad.
Yep.
Fucking this comment. I think it's common knowledge at this point that anything written by this person will more than likely be shit. Can't wait for the guys over at Bad Creepypasta to continue their reading of this garbage. Lol. Well, if you were to fucking move on from the past, then maybe you won't be as bad as you think. But that's basically impossible for someone like you, right? Nah, it's still objectively garbage and you're just wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's objectively bad. Like, you want to like it, that's fine. You know, just fucking... I don't know how you like it, but, you know, that's your choice. That doesn't make it good.
Like, being stuck in the past or moving on from the past has absolutely no bearing on whether or not a semicolon is being used correctly, or whether or not tension is being built, or whether or not the descriptors are bland as fuck. We have objective measures to quality. That is why we have them. They are a standard.
Yep.
That is
What
how
in God's name did I just read? From the first paragraph to the ending. This is just chaos in literature form. How do you structure a story like this?
Yes.
It's not chaos is the problem. It's the slow, boring grind. Unless it does get chaotic in the further chapters.
I don't know. I'm not
Or
particularly keen
parts
on...
or whatever.
I'm not exactly keen on finding out, though.
Yeah.
I'm content with just dropping it. Because fuck this story.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's too long. It's too fucking boring. Like, at least Jeff the Killer, we fucking laughed at it.
Oh boy, here we go. The original and round 2 stories were absolute masterpieces. No. Okay, never mind. Masterpieces of failure to a beautiful degree. I find them completely hilarious with the idiotic, overreacting protagonist and the nonsensical bullshit that goes nowhere in round 2. Just reading the first paragraph of this, talking about the meaning of life in a story about fucking Sonic the Hedgehog, I can already guess this is going to be a roller coaster of pure insanity and stupidity. Truly, we have been blessed and cursed with a story from the man who's proven to be an extremely unpleasant person in the past. I cannot wait to explore this dumpster fire. Jesus, can't you just move on from the past already? If I move from the past, you mean completely ignore the existence of the originals? Then no, I will not move from the past, because that would be really stupid. This story made me terrified. Not because of the concept, but because I live on the same earth as the person who wrote this shitstorm. This is not a fucking novel. I am not reading this shit on YouTube.
It's okay, bud. We got you.
This is fucking vile. 0 out of 10. Please, JC, stop writing. You cannot write. You are a disappointment to every fandom. Your disgusting virgin hide spreads itself.
I understand if you don't like this, but at least try to be civil.
That's fair. There's no need to insult the author. But it is bad.
Yeah.
Oh my god, why? What the fuck? How is this over twice as long as both the original stories put together?
Because he just put them together and then added. That's all he did.
Better than the original story by a mile. Still not good enough. For those who come onto this page and find this story, I gone through and broke the story down into readable paragraphs so it'll be easier to ready. Also, so you guys can understand when Lord X is talking, I gone and make his words bold and italic. So it'll be easier. Oh, JC has a DA and FA. Surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
No.
I don't know about you, but I don't think they like this story. Same, man, same. What's the last sentence? Yes, ma'am. I won't disappoint you. I am a soldier enforcing our Lord X's desires. I'm always at his disposal. Thank you. Goodbye, Miss Goldman. What?
Little did they know that a man wearing all black, wearing a fedora on his head, was watching them from a nearby table. He brought a hand up to his handlebar mustache.
Fuck off.
As he watched the two detectives leave before dropping it and pulling out a cell phone to make a call. When it picked up, he spoke into it in a southern baritone. What's the highest pitch setting that I can put on this mixer?
Oh god, please, no. Oh god.
I don't think it's very high up, but
How does this sound?
how's that
Awful.
sound? Awful. Hold on. Let me
Just downright atrocious.
How's that sound? Okay, that's awesome. I like that. Hello, it's me. Yes, they got the letter. Right on schedule. Yes. Yes, I'll talk to him about it. No, man. I doubt he'll disobey. The Cult of X will see to it he stays within our Lord's graces. The man got up and started walking out the door. Before he hung the phone up, he said, "Yes, ma'am. I won't disappoint you. I am a soldier enforcing our Lord X's desires. I am always at his disposal, thank you. Goodbye, Miss Goldman." Because suspense.
Yikes. The fuck? Just the fuck.
The problem is the concept of a video game character that people recognize being in a game that originally seems like nothing's wrong and then gradually gets worse and worse and it becomes more apparent that there's something wrong with it. That idea it's comparable for a horror story. This is just a complete wrong way of executing it.
I think that it leans too much into being about Sonic. I think the whole idea of Sonic being involved should be taken out. Because it just doesn't matter. It has no impact on anything. And then, make it, like, significantly shorter. And, I don't know what the fuck is going on in these later parts. But, no. I'm just gonna say no. I don't know what this Cult of X and this Lord X nonsense is, but I'm just gonna tell you now, no.
Oh, did we
Literally a dude with a handlebar mustache being evil, totally suspicious in the corner. Fuck off. No.
That is cliche.
Took it too far.
It's like, is a character descriptor and setup a cliche? Because a cliche is like something overused, right? That's why it becomes a cliche. So that entire scenario is a cliche.
Yep.
Fucking Christ. Did we not read the Sonic.exe too? Because that's where the whole Cult of X thing came from.
I don't think we did. Because I feel like I would remember that.
Yeah. He turned the whole Sonic.exe thing into a giant fucking cult, and
Yeah, I can fuck her off. Just no. Just no. It's fucking dumb.
I wonder if I can find cliff notes for Sonic.exe.
There's a way to do something like that, and the first step is making it not involve Sonic.
Is Sonic.exe a real game?
No. It's trash.
No. No cliff notes. Oh well. Yeah.
Good. I don't want to know.
Alright, and recording ending in 3, 2, 1.